My book for the interdisciplinary unit is Newton's Rainbow, The Revolutionary Discoveries of a Young Scientist by Catherine Lasky, pictures by Kevin Hawkes. This book goes over the life of Isaac Newton from when he was born until he became a fellow of the college, Trinity College of Cambridge. It goes through a lot of his childhood and his youth, and just kind of talks about and gives stories in like these short chapters of different things that he was interested in, different school subjects, different hobbies, things he liked to do. It mentioned some of the physicists and mathematicians and astronomers that he was interested in, like Galileo and Kepler. There's little biographies about them in here, sprinkled throughout. There's just a lot of stories about that just kind of foreshadow the things that he ends up discovering later in life. And it really shows his pursuit of knowledge and his love for knowledge in lots of different aspects, from science, math, art, all sorts of things. I'm going to highlight 3 activities for you that are in my interdisciplinary unit. The first being a social studies lesson based off of England. So a lot of times in the United States we don't really know a lot about geography or like that isn't in the United States. Sometimes we don't even know a lot of geography in the United States. So I thought it would be interesting, especially if we were going to be studying characters that are from England, to kind of get a general aspect of the things that they would have seen or that England has to hold. So this is actually really similar to the lesson plan I did in my field experience, just England version. So I would break students into pairs, and they would be given a landmark or just something like a special place in England, and this would be on a Google My Maps. And so all these places would be pulled up on England, and they would see, and these partner groups would research either with materials that we had from the library or already in class, or specified websites that were pre-approved, and they would research these things and they would add in the information to the little box on the Google My Maps that pops up with the little spot on the map, and then all the students would be able to see everybody's thing. And so instead of just knowing about having the opportunity to hear about one spot in England, they would have the opportunity to see 10 to 12 spots in England, which is really cool. And we would do presentations at the end about their special places in England, famous people that have been there, just understanding the geography a bit of England, which is where Isaac Newton is from, which is why this ties in. Another activity that I really liked was one of my science activities, and it's about windmills. And I saw on Pinterest this STEM idea of building windmills, and this ties to the book because he was a farmer, and there was not very many windmills like at his time because of where he was living. There were more water mills, but he created a windmill, but it wasn't powered by the wind, it was powered by a mouse. But I thought it would be great for the students to get together and try to figure out what makes a windmill work. Like not having flat panels to blow in the wind, and how to work with it, and just kind of really being hands-on in engineering. And it kind of fits in with what Isaac Newton did as a child when he powered that little mill by a little mouse and corn. So I feel like they would have a blast with that, and it would really get them thinking, which is what science is for. And then my third activity that I really liked was a math activity, but it's kind of an English one too, but I have it in my math section. Isaac Newton, when he went into Cambridge, he arrived and his knowledge of math was very limited before university, and on an early geometry test he didn't get a single question right, which I think is a great thing for students to know, that it's okay to fail, because by the end of it He discovered so many things in math, and he was so advanced in the subject for him to start at such a low place. He really achieved amazing things, far more amazing than many people would have at his time, or even now probably. There's a lot of math vocabulary in this book, so this activity is based off of that very thing. So in 4th grade, like, they're not going to be doing calculus and geometry yet, which is a lot of what this book talks about, but it's never too early for them to kind of understand the concepts or just even the vocabulary and have a picture in their mind of what these things are. So I would have them split either into small groups or pair groups. They could work individually if they wanted to. And they would have a word that was pulled from this book, such as a curve or calculus or geometry, surfaces, lines, points, all these different things. And they would have a given word, and like if they had angle, then they would research what the definition of angle was, and they would, what the research is going to be put on this bulletin board that we have in class of math vocabulary, and they'd be doing this page poster thing, and they would have to supply the definition of the word and also an illustration and also like a place in real life that we would see this math thing. So if it was an angle, you could talk about like how the angle on the clock when the hands move, or if it was a certain shape, like a sphere, you could talk about how the world is a sphere. So they just kind of like really be applying real world thinking as they're doing this vocabulary, and they're getting exposed to these words that they're going to be using later on in their school careers. So that was 3 of the activities that I really liked. Sorry that my nose is really sniffly, and I hope you enjoy my project.